Matt DeLong here with Real Life Trading, and I have a cool surprise for you guys. Number one, I have a brand new bot, something that I've never given away in any of my previous mentor groups. This is a brand new bot. Only a handful of people have helped me beta test this, but it's ready. It's ready for me to show the world. And it's actually pretty cool because it combines several of my previous strategies together to make some decisions on how to play gaps. So gaps in the market are when a stock closes at a certain level and either opens higher or significantly lower than where it previously closed on the previous day. And so I'm going to jump in real quick. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a look at how this works. Here we go. Okay, so this is called the Gapbot. I know, took a lot of effort, a lot of thought, but here are, I'm going to do a quick run through of the settings and I'm going to show you an example of how this looks, how this works. But this is all based off of a minimum gap size. So in this case, I'm saying I'm looking for a 1.2% gap, and that 1.2% gap has to meet that requirement for it to take a trade. And if you're familiar with any of my other day trading bots, a lot of these other things are very similar. So if we're going to risk $5,000 and we're going to have a stop loss padding of 0.002%, it's a percentage of the price, and a profit taker of 1.2, meaning we're going to risk 5,000 and we're going to risk 5,000 to make 1.2 times that's 20% more than that. So AKA $6,000. Our max lot size comes from our funded account rules. So a 500K account has a 50 max lot size. And then you guys will recognize we do have most of the daily on-off switches that you're able to configure and test. And that allows us to decide, hey, this certain strategies work really well on certain days and not others. Sometimes they're just weird anomalies that we're able to use these settings to take advantage of. And then we do have a way to, the newer generation bots have a way to send buy and sell signals to a third-party account. In this case is Traders Post. And you can configure your real money account to connect to these bots. So the bots run on your desktop or in the virtual private, like in the cloud. And you're able to take the buy and sell signals, to connect them to a third-party account. That you then have your brokerage, maybe your IRA or your cash margin account, whatever you have connected, like in TD Ameritrade, and you're able to use these bots, run them on one side, and then send the buy and sell signals to this third party, which actually sends those signals to your broker. And so that's what that does. In this case, we have them just for the demonstration purposes. We have it turned off. And then finally, we do have our closing trade. As you guys know, at the end of the day, if we haven't hit our profit target and we haven't hit a stop loss, it's just going to go sideways. And we want to make sure that we don't let those turn into a swing trade unless you plan to let a day trade turn into a swing trade. So in this case, our serial number is kind of what we call the magic number, and this is called a gap bot. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this real quick and we're going to watch the graph. We're going to watch how this works. And typically when you see an up trend in the blue is a win. So the first thing that happened was a down, a loss, then a win, then a win, then a win, then a win, small win, then a loss, then a win, then a, right? And normally what you're looking for in these types of equity curve is you kind of want a bottom left to top right. And you'll see in this case, that's kind of what happened, right? Now, yes, we did have a few little it went sideways for about 2 weeks where it didn't really make any new gains. It kind of one loss, kind of just chopped around and went sideways, and that's fine. Most strategies have that. Most spots have that kind of a period where it's not really taking root, it's not really taking off, which is fine. And so what we did was we ran this test for basically the beginning of the year through the end of May. So basically like a 5-month test. And if we were to look at our back test here, you'll see that this bot made $78,000. Now, before you're like, Matt, that's off of a 500K account. Ladies and gentlemen, how much does a 500K account cost? Now, normally it costs $500,000, but if you have a real life trading funded account, it only costs you 5K. And you're like, Matt, can I take 5K, get a 500K funded account, run this bot? Obviously, we're over our 10%, yes, and we still are within our bounds of our 6% max drawdown. The answer is yes and yes. It's very, very possible. So imagine growing this to $50,000, that 10%, it gets funded, and now you're up still another 28,000. That's all off of a $5,000 investment, and you're still letting this run obviously for months and years on into the future. So I think it's a pretty neat, and I'll explain how it works. It's a pretty cool opportunity to leverage your capital. Now, if we were to scroll down and look at some of these days here, there's no days where it just tends to lose more than others. So we're going to keep all those days enabled. And of course, in this case, I'm only testing on NVIDIA, and we're testing on a 5-minute chart. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to launch this back tester. We're going to look at the visual mode, and I'm going to show you a few trades real quick. We'll start on the fourth, like where it takes this very first trade. And we're going to see, whoa, it flew through there, didn't it? All right, let's see what happens. So on the 4th was the very first trade. It looks like it lost. Actually, I'm going to edit this a little bit. Let's do this. Let's close this. We're going to launch. We're going to test it on the 5th. So we're going to look on the 5th. We're going to slow this way down, see if we can get an example going here of how this works. So what the Gapbot does is it's going to use the direction of the gap, aka it closed here and it opened here, aka gap down. So it's automatically going to apply a bearish bias to the trade, right? Now, does it mean that we're going to jump in immediately? Does it wait for anything? And the answer is yes. It waits for that very first 5-minute candle to close. And so what's going to happen is if we break above the candle, we're going to use the snapback and wait for a reversal. If it breaks, the next candle breaks below, it's going to continue and look for a continuation. So it's either going to short at a high or short at the low. Either way, it's waiting for a bearish continuation, a bearish move lower. And that's how the Gapbot works. So let me see if I can speed this up. There you go. So I'm going to pause this real quick so you guys can see. We did enter right here. Our stop loss is higher than our entry because we are shorting. And if I zoom out just a little bit, you'll see our take profit is down here, stop loss, entry, and again, we did break lower. So we're waiting for a move that looks or resembles something like this. And in this case, we do have a profit target. And I want to show you that even if, and we'll look at the trade, even if, so if I can click on the trade tab, it's not clicking for some reason. But you will see that we almost got stopped out. Almost, correct? It almost happened. But because this is a bot, we're going to let it do its thing. And one of the main and beautiful benefits of bots is that you're able to use statistics. You're able to use some pretty significant analysis and run thousands of tests that manually would take you hours or days. That we can do these tests in seconds and minutes. So significantly reduces, 0 errors, 100% probabilities that we're able to identify, and 100% perfect tests. We're able to determine, have tons of analysis and statistics and probabilities that work in our favor that say, hey, this strategy works really well on whatever stocks you want to run it on. And so this is an example of the Gapbot. In this case, it does go long and short. In this case, it did go short. And again, it got short because it broke below the low. Now, if it would have broken up here first, and it did eventually, but it didn't do it first, it would have shorted higher and then wait for a move lower. And so, team, that is how the Gapbot works. It does work on bullish and bearish trades both. I want to make sure you guys know that. And this bot is available as a premium bot. So this is not one I'm just giving away in my mentor groups. Please reach out if you're interested and let me know, and we will have a conversation and we'll see if we can get you set up with the Gapbot. It is a cool bot. I have been running it for about 4 weeks live, and I got another account that's almost funded, literally just using this strategy, on a few stocks. So it is doing really well. I'm super happy with it. It's not a super aggressive trade. It's not going to take one a day, 5 trades a day. It's only going to take a trade when our predefined gap is big enough, aka our minimum gap size that we've defined here under our inputs. In this case, I said 1.2. Now, this is a variable. It is a changeable variable that you can go in and change and optimize. So easy to do. And in this case, we are running this on a 5-minute chart, and we're running this in our group of stocks. So that's all I have for you guys, team. That is the Gapbot from a high level. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we will chat more in the future.